think it is showtime now for why we're here. First of all, again, let me just say welcome. Thank you, ladies, for coming, and a few gentlemen who are our distinguished guests. We are so glad to have you here today for this celebration. Whether you're in person or via Zoom, we're glad you came. We have a very exciting morning ahead of us. This time last year, none of us could have imagined what 2020 would look like, but we do know that God is still on his throne and he is still providing, and we get to watch that happen here today. So in just a few minutes, actually, I'm going to have, before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and have Jean, where's our treasurer? Yeah, Gail. If Gail would come up, and she's going to give our treasurer's report so that you all can have a little bit more information about our money situation.
Thank you, Amy. First of all, let me just thank each of you for your commitment, 100 Shares Birmingham, and enabling us to use the resources that God has provided in such a major way today. Regarding the treasurer's report, we have in our NCF Alabama account and our Regions Bank operating account, as of today, $136,978.10. We have some partners who have prepaid included in that number of $10,200. So if we back that out, set it aside, that gives us net combined funds of $126,778.10. Then we have set aside some funds to take us through the end of the year, and we elected to do $3,278.10. That gives us current net available funds today for grants of $123,500.
$123,500. Last year we gave away $107 when our goal was to give $100,000, and we all remember we really were so excited about the $107 and going past the $100,000 goal, but our hearts were torn because we wanted to give to everybody who had applied for a grant. And so we began saying, let's go for $200,000 in 2020, and even began thinking about how we could possibly make that happen. And then COVID. So none of us could have expected a worldwide pandemic. But what's amazing is that we still grew by $15,000. And along those lines, towards the end, I guess in the late spring, I had a marketing group reach out to me on behalf of 100 Shares Birmingham to see if we wanted to hire them as consultants to help us raise more money. And when he asked us what our financial picture was, and I said, well, we're actually bigger, we've grown, and he said, okay, never mind, you don't need me. You just keep doing what you're doing, you got it figured out, go. So it was really sweet confirmation to even have that group affirm what the Lord is doing, because what he didn't realize that we know is that Birmingham is full of generous women, first of all, and there's secondly that a lot of us we've just experienced the joy of collective giving. And we understand that it's so much fun to be able to come together for greater impact, to be able to give $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 grants. So, and I also realized that, in some cases, some of our partners, many of us, have really made sacrifices to fulfill the pledges that we made for this year. And so we thank you for that. 100 Shares Birmingham was founded to give large financial grants to Birmingham ministries that are meeting needs in under-resourced community and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. We all recognize as partners that both are necessary for change here on this earth, as well as lasting change for eternity, and that God is glorified when we put those two things together. And so our sweet spot is giving to a need that establishes a new, either expands an existing program or establishes a new initiative. So today is a day of celebration, and we couldn't be more thrilled. Last year when we were able to give to Oak Tree Ministries and to Is Able last year. So now we have the privilege of hearing from both of them. So all of us, first of all, we have Raquel Patterson. Where's Raquel? Oh, there she is. Okay, good. We have Raquel. All of us fell in love with Raquel last year from Oak Tree, and we were just so drawn to her love for the Lord, her love for the children and families at Mark's Village, and her submissive spirit to wanting God to use her. And we couldn't have been more thrilled when we were able to give $75,000. So in just a minute, she's going to come up and share. And then following Raquel Patterson, we have Lorenzo Brown from Is Able. And I think there were very few of us that had dry eyes when we heard him share his story of brokenness to redemption last year. And now we're going to get to hear how the Lord has used the grant money for Is Able. So if you will help me welcome them up. Lorenzo, if you'll just follow Raquel after Raquel, okay? Good morning. Thank you to the board, to each of you for just the opportunity to share with you. My name is Raquel Patterson, and I'm the director of Oak Tree, and we are a gospel-centered, trauma-informed community support ministry serving with the families in Mark's Village, which is the largest public housing community in Birmingham on the east side of Birmingham. So we have just been deeply blessed just to be the recipients of the first 100 Shares grant. Because of that gift, we were able to purchase our building, which we call our treehouse, paid in full. In February, we closed. None of us could have predicted what 2020 would hold, but the Lord was preparing us ahead of time through your provision. In a time when many ministries were struggling to safely be with the community, we didn't have to worry about our proximity changing. We knew that we were going to be permanently there and present throughout whatever the year would hold. Through you guys, and then the Church at Brick Hills also gave us a grant through their Roots and Reach fund. We were able to pay in full and then also do repairs. If you were at the site visit, you know we were struggling and we needed that. So we were able to put on a new roof, fix our flooding issues, repair the inside so that we can ensure a safe and clean environment for the kids when they come. And so every day that we walk into Oak Tree, it's just a reminder of God's provision for his children. So we had originally planned to have a big open house community fun day and invite all of you and our neighbors to come and see all that God had done through your generosity. But by the spring, we obviously all had other things on our mind, and that didn't work out. So even in the midst of a pandemic, our just the provision of the building made us able to immediately respond to this crisis. We had easy proximity where kids could just walk up and get lunch. We were able to provide masks to help protect the community. And we were just able to be a constant when so much was changing, to provide peace and prayer in the middle of so much chaos. Then one of the families that we were working with was hospitalized with COVID-19. And so myself and another staff member were directly exposed. And we had to be flexible and shift ministry again really quickly. But throughout it all, we have been able to see God just working in us, reminding us that we are not only the ones who give, but me, who's usually on that giving end, to learn how to receive care from the community and see this mutual support that God's given us in our neighbors and in our ministry was just a beautiful thing. So the Oak Tree team handled things wonderfully while it took me longer than expected to recover. But this interruption to our usual programming has given us time to refocus, to say, God, what have you called us to do? Why are we here? And to recognize sometimes our ideas and our plans for the year and what success will look like, God has other plans. Sometimes those clash. And so throughout this, we've been just constantly reminded that God's plan for us at Oak Tree is about mutual transformation. We are not the heroes of this story. we have just as much to receive and to learn from our neighbors. So as we've been forced to shift away from these big events with our kids and volunteers and all of these crowds, we've had sweet time to intentionally check on families as we're doing door-to-door, standing outside, connecting deeper with families, seeing where God's at work in the hearts of our parents, delivering Bible Club to doors every week, getting to have our kids programs online has been a blessing in disguise as parents are now doing the activities with their kids. They're more involved than they ever have been. They're opened up more than ever with us. And so we're getting to see families doing Bible stories together on Sundays. We've also been able to hire a full-time adult ministry, praise the Lord. So we're able to do more intentional support to our wonderful parents, especially in such a difficult year. We've also been able to see God at work in our staff and volunteers. He's forced us to slow down in the middle of a traumatic year. Say, what does it really mean to be trauma informed? Not just for our kids, but for us as a staff, for the parents. What is God wanting to change in all of us? As the world talks about the reality of injustice and racism, God has positioned us on the front lines to fight for unity, reconciliation, and to educate, to say the reality of our present is a direct result of our history. And how can we be a part, by God's grace, only through God's power, of seeing this transform? So with our position, people are crossing lines, across economic lines, across racial lines, denominations, and we're coming together to hear different experiences, to listen to one another's stories, and to build relationships. And through that, to represent better the diversity of the body of Christ and to show that healing and reconciliation is possible. So this year has not been easy at all, but God has been really good to us. So as we're closing out this year, we're preparing for our 4th annual Christmas in the Village store. So it'll look different this year with COVID restrictions, but we're seeing God's plan even in that, of being more intentional. And we're building our playground right now. So we're looking forward to the day that we can have an open house and invite everyone where you can come see in person what your generosity has done, how God has just been blessing and growing the ministry. So thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to 100 Shares for choosing us to be one of your first grant recipients. We're so grateful for that. Also to probably some of you guys in this room who beyond 100 Shares sent anonymous gifts. And so we don't know who you are, but we appreciate you for sowing into Christ through the soil of His able. We're really grateful for that. And so I had this wonderful video that I was going to show of the expansion that we did to the facility, but I got the email last night that we was unable to share any pictures or videos, so not able to show you guys that. But I think Amy or Tracy, you guys may have seen it on Facebook, right? The video. So, but anyway, we was able to expand the center with and outfitted with this wonderful Mac lab that we got in to add an addition to our accessible computer labs, where we're able to get a lot of system technology in that will help us specifically help those who are visually impaired, as well as some other type disabilities. And so the way that our labs are set up, we have adjustable tables that can, accommodate any size wheelchair. These new computers that we was able to get in, they're 100% voice activated. And so you can just speak to it and tell it whatever you want it to do. You can say, hey, wake up. Send an email to Amy Tankersley. So, tell her I said thank you for that 100 Shares grant. So you just do whatever you want to do by voice, and it's just so amazing. And as to the assistive technology that we were able to get in. And even though, you know, COVID hit and we was able to had to shut down for a few months, we were able to kind of be innovative and reopen and get back to work. And then, you know, our work has been so effectively that actually WVTM 13 chose us as one of their community, you know, projects, and, you know, and highlighted us for the work that we, you know, do in the community throughout this year. So that was wonderful. That was great. And, you know, just in closing, you know, I know that, you know, everyone, every ministry, every organization, every family, you know, has been through some tough times, some tough things. And just yesterday, a really good friend of mine, he's actually a C5 quadriplegic, but he had a stroke, and it you know, knocked him back on his back again, and he had to put a trach in his throat, and it affected his entire right side. He even lost his hearing, and his vision goes in and out. You know, he's living on a ventilator. He's in real bad shape. So I called him yesterday to ask if I could come and visit. He didn't want to visit. So his mom said he's pushing everybody away. So he's laying there in that despair. So anyway, I was in the park with my 3 beautiful kids yesterday, just watching them run around and playing. While I'm watching them, I'm thinking about him. And as I'm thinking about him and I'm watching them, God reminded me that he's never as far away as we think he is. He's always doing more than we can ever imagine. So it's just an encouraging word to those of you who are in the room who may be going through a time of despair. But anyway, thank you so much. So grateful for you.
Well, thank you, Raquel. Thank you, Lorenzo. Well, as you see, we have had the privilege to pray, and then we have watched God provide through generous partners like you, and then we asked God to lead us. Last year, when we chose these two as our grant recipients, and now we get to hear how God used these grants for kingdom impact and how encouraging that is. And I'm sure y'all would join me in saying, to God be the glory. To him be the glory. It's so fun to be able to do this again. And so here we are for the 2020 grant recipients. For those of you who are new partners or those of you who are watching, I'd like to tell you how God led us in this decision. COVID added a little interesting kink, but you know, God's bigger than COVID for sure, times infinity. And we were able to do, the board was able to do site visits, and thank you to Tracy and Amanda for organizing that. The board went, and then thank you for Carrie and Meredith for being able to video that, get the word out, where you were able to watch that, being able to respond through the surveys. They were able to gather all the information, Tracy and Amanda, and present that to the board, all the comments. You was reading those comments, each one, so that we would have your input as to where you felt the Lord would have us as a ministry give the grants. And so then we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. We met early to pray. We prayed when we got together. We discussed each of the ministries, and we all agreed every one of the 4 were fabulous. It was, they were all doing kingdom work. Everyone would have been a great option. But we asked the Lord, you are Jehovah Jireh. You're the one who provides. You provide for us. You provide for each of these ministries. How would you have us be a channel of your provision to 2 ministries in particular? And we trust you by faith that you will provide for the other ministries in a different way. And we thank you by faith for how you're going to do it. So lead us. And so we we had a secret ballot and we tallied all that up, and it was clear, so clear, that this year's first recipient goes for $75,000 to add a 3K classroom and to equip a multi-purpose room. This first grant goes to Foundation Early Learning and Family Center. So please welcome Larry Delcon. Denise, come accept this, please. All right, let's. Wonderful. So, Mary Jo.
Psalm 78:4 says, "We will not hide them. We will tell them to the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his mighty acts that he does perform." That's Psalm 78:4. That explains what we do, and it explains what you're enabling us to do to another class. And I have to confess, I'm the warm-up act. You know, when you go to a concert, you have the act that warms you up. Well, I'm the warm-up act, and then the rock star comes on in a minute. But when we saw who the other ministries were, we thought, well, now we know how little David felt when he went up against Goliath with his slingshot and a few stones. But we were just grateful to have our name be out there. That's one of the things we struggle with, that we don't have name recognition. So we were just praising the Lord. Hey, we're getting to be in front of all these wonderful women, and they'll learn about us, and we're just grateful for that. So for the Lord to have moved you to choose us, thank you. We will use it carefully, and I am so excited that 16 more children and their parents will be impacted by the gospel of Jesus Christ while they're receiving an outstanding academic education. And I'm going to let Miss Janice Daniels, who is our lead teacher, I'm just there to walk around and enjoy everybody. She's the one who actually leads the curriculum and makes sure everybody stays on task, and I'm her cheerleader, so she's going to share with you for just a minute. But thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this honor.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Janice Daniels, and I'm the head teacher at Foundation Early Learning and Family Center. And I am overjoyed this morning. I am so excited because I've been at Foundations for 7 years. This is my 7th school year. I've worn multiple hats. A lot of people don't know this, but I've been the director, interim head of school. I've been 4K teacher twice. I've been, you say, over parent meetings. I've been there. I've worn that hat, and I worn it proudly. But I've also seen each and every year God provide, make provisions each and every year. At the beginning of the school year, each and every year, there was a need. Whether it was a teacher, and like I said, the first year that I was there, I was that need. I was the answer to prayer. And I was like, they said, well, it was a week before school started. They're like, we don't have another teacher. We really don't have a teacher. Like, what are we gonna do? And like I said, Foundations came to my classroom the very first year. I was teaching at another school. And they walked in my class, and I'm like, who are these people? I mean, who are you? And they said, well, it's a Christian school. They're starting in Fairfield. They didn't know I was buying a house in Fairfield at that time. And what piqued my interest was, of course, they said they were what? Sharing the gospel. What was I doing in my classroom? Now, my boss, she knows. I told her, I said, well, I was any child that would get in trouble. I had a little Bible on my desk. And at nap time, I would read little Bible stories to them. I said, well, I'm breaking the rules. I know I'm breaking the rules. But if I go to Foundations, I don't have to break the rules. I can do this freely and share the gospel. And I kept telling Mary Jo them in my interview, I said, I didn't know what God was telling me to do. I knew it was a calling on me. The Lord was saying, you need to do this all the time. I said, well, Lord, I don't want to do children's ministry. I want to go sing in the choir. I'm going to stay in the choir. And so he said, well, this is what the Lord was doing. He sent me the foundations, and not only was I able to teach what I love to do and actually help parents and do all those other things, but I was actually able to make the gospel penetrate inside of that education academics. And so what we do at Foundations, and I know a lot of you probably saw it on the video, but what we do is make sure that if we're talking about pumpkins this week, we are talking about pumpkins this week, but there's a pumpkin story in the Bible. And we're going to make sure that the children, and not only the children, because now we have the ability of Zoom to talk to the parents because they're right there when we're teaching them. We're teaching them all about God as well. And so once we sit there and build that foundation with them, and we build that foundation with their children, we're changing lives. So we're changing and building communities, guys. And that's one of the biggest things that like I said, I can tell you guys, thank you 1,000 times over, because we can fill that class today. And Mary Jo, she's sitting there. I have parents come and say, can you please open another 3K classroom? What can we do? I'll get my church involved. So now all those parents that were up there saying, we'll help, we're going to say, come on in. So I want to tell you guys, thank you. And thank you again for just seeing the need in us and seeing the good soil, seeing the good ground, and planting your seed in good ground. And I promise you that you will see the fruits of your labor come to fruition. Thank you so much.
Well, Janice, I'd love to be in your class. But if you see a stranger, that's fun. That's so fun to watch God provide. And we can't wait to hear, because we will invite y'all back next year around this time to come and give us an update like Raquel and Lorenzo did, to see how God moved and worked. We can't wait to hear. And as our wonderful treasurer, where did Gail? Oh, there you go, Gail. Talked about our finances after we gave that $75,000 grant. God had still provided $43,500 to give away. And as we had voted and tallied, it was clear that the Lord wanted the rest of this grant money to go towards the provision of a walk-in freezer for Cornerstone schools, so that God would help use that to feed these hungry children. So would you please welcome, we are happy to present the ladies, to present the check to Cornerstone Schools of Alabama. And this is Dr. Nita Carr. We're so excited, Dr. Nita Carr.
Well, you can't imagine what an answer to prayer this is. It's really, I carefully say this, but it might be a miracle. A lot of you heard this story, but last fall, our 40-something-year-old freezer started wearing out. And we wrote for a grant. And honestly, I wasn't sure how we were going to pay for this freezer. Those of you who know me or know about Cornerstone, we're debt free. I'm very aware that when people donate to us, that it's sacrificial, that they choose to give to us, and they could be giving to anyone. And so, I was just putting a Band-Aid on this freezer. Well, then along came COVID, and all of a sudden, I'm in a position where we have an opportunity when our kids are at home to not only feed our almost 700 kids, but to feed their families. And so all of a sudden we're getting commodities in. This old freezer is just, literally it's breaking down. We're having to replace food. Well, it dies. It just dies. And so my bookkeeper said, not in the budget. It's just not in the budget. Well, the other part to this is, I don't know about you, but it's shocking to me to think about people in Birmingham, children in Birmingham not having food. And Cornerstone made a commitment over a decade ago that our children would be fed, because we know that they can't do their best at school if they don't have food. And so we started a free and reduced lunch program. By the way, 100% of our kids right this minute receive a free lunch and breakfast and snack every single day. Well, put that with an opportunity to feed a whole bunch of people. I told our board chair and bookkeeper, I said, I think we're gonna have to go out on faith. And they said, but we don't do that. You don't even sign contracts. And I said, I know, but I'm really committed to this. And so you guys, even at my age, and I've been around for a long time, been in school for a long time, I'm always learning that God keeps saying to me, trust me, trust me, trust me, have faith in me. Well, I am convinced that my desperate prayers were heard by you guys. Because when we got the news that we had received money that my bookkeeper is very grateful for, and I am too, to purchase this huge, you guys, it's not just a freezer. It's like huge. It's, you know, I don't know, maybe 20 feet long and wide. And it's full of all these commodities that we can now get to feed our children. And it's just amazing. It is. But you guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping Cornerstone be able to feed children and their families. And I just can't even tell you how much we appreciate it. I promise you, we will keep everybody fed. We even did a feed program during the summer. And, you know, I know that our focus is education. Well, you can't educate without food. You just can't do it. Not to hungry little tummies. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you for hearing our prayers.
Wow, what a blessing. Thank you so much, Dr. Carr and Mary Claire, for being here. Thank you, Ms. Kynard, and thank you, Denise. Thank you for your gracious words. Wow, we are so encouraged and blessed. I'm Shawn Grubb. I'm the co-chair at 100 Shares Birmingham. It is a blessing to be here today. Thank you so much for you guys being here. So wonderful. We continue to be in awe of what the Lord has done. Continue to be in awe. God has been so faithful through this past year. Truly amazing. It's just a testimony of his greatness, isn't it? It's just amazing. On behalf of the board this morning, we want to thank Christian Service Mission as well as King's Home as our finalists. As we did last year, we invited them to join us here today. Tracy Hips wanted to be able to be here today with Christian Service Mission, but he was unable to be here. But we do want to thank Lou for being here. Thank you so much, Lou. Man, we are just blessed. We are blessed. So it's such a testimony of your spirit, of your ministry. We said this last year, but it's just evidence that in the kingdom of God, we are not competing with one another, are we? It is, we are all one body. And when one rejoices, the other rejoices. And with you being here, that is evidence of that. Thank you for being that example for us. We visited your ministry. We prayed for your ministries. Our hearts are connected to your ministries, and we are sad that we cannot give you a grant too. We want you to know that. And as Cindy mentioned, we will continue to pray that God provides that, and we trust that He will. We also want to say thank you to all of the partners. It goes without saying that this would not happen without every single one of you ladies committing your monies and giving your money. So thank you. Thank you so much. You are a blessing. A couple of reminders. Don't forget to spread the word to ministry friends that you have. We want to continue to invite the ministries to apply for these grants. The process is quite extensive. I'm sure you could talk to these ministries that are represented. So encourage your ministry friends to not wait, but go ahead and start that process. The deadline for that application is February 1st of 2021. So please help us spread the word there. Also, invite your friends. We want to continue to grow 100 Shares Birmingham. There is no limit of how many women we want to be a part of this giving group. Last year, we cast a vision of 200. We wanted to grow to 200 women. Of course, we didn't know what the year was going to hold, but God did. So we're going to reissue that challenge. And we're going to say, as Cindy already did, like next year, wouldn't it be amazing if we could give away $200,000? Wow. So invite your friends, think of friends and family, start a list in your phone, invite them to the coffee that'll be sometime in April. And that'll be a good way to introduce them. Also, you can point them to the website to get more information and to connect as well. So as we wrap up, we just want to call us all back to just the mission and vision and why we exist here as 100 Shares Birmingham. And we exist to bring Birmingham women together for kingdom purpose. We desire to be a fragrance of Christ to the world for those who are lost and those who are perishing through prayer and generosity. We desire that. We so desire that. We are doing more together than alone. Isn't that a beautiful picture? And so often Jesus spoke of that in his word, where he talks about the unity of the body and the body coming together, the whole body working together. And I just believe in my heart that 100 Shares Birmingham is such a reflection of that. We're all very diverse. We come from different churches, different backgrounds, different communities, different denominations. We're coming together to unify so that our focus is spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it is just amazing when you sit back and think about it. We come alongside these amazing ministries that are worthy, that are already doing the hard work, coming along and supporting these ministries. This is why we exist. He's worthy. He's worthy of our praise. He's worthy of our time. He's worthy of our money. Thank you so much for your willingness to lock arms with us and to make this possible. Our prayer is that God will continue to use this giving group, not for our glory and fame, but for his glory and fame. And we so desire that, and that we would be that sweet fragrance of Christ to the world. And so, Lord, join me as we go to the Lord in prayer. God, we just want to stop and give you the praise and glory. God, we are in awe of what you have done. We are all just giddy on the inside, and we are so excited, Lord, just to be in this time in history that we can be a part of something like this, God. We know that we are so blessed and privileged to be standing here and to be sitting here, Lord. So, Lord, we do want your name exalted. We pray now for these ministries, that you would bless them and that you would keep them and that you would make your face shine upon them, Lord. And Lord, that you would continue to provide. Lord, you are our provider, and we give you all glory and praise. We thank you so much. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Thank you all for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's a beautiful one to enjoy.